I'm happy that my government in just 6 months can deliver today something that you have long waited for. I have a very special document for Chief Secretary Farley and all of you in this DHA. And this is something that will give you the means to make money. This will give you the means to earn foreign exchange. And therefore, they can't say, poor boy Tobago coming begging poor girl Sapari. No, no, no. This will help you. I hold in my hand today, Farley, Chief Secretary. This is an export license. This is an export license for Studley Park Quarry. This license will give Studley Park Enterprises Limited an opportunity to further market your products regionally and provide opportunities to generate much needed foreign exchange.
All right. Well, we saw that happen earlier this week in the Tobago House of Assembly. And this morning, let me welcome the Chief Technical Advisor for the THA, Anselm Richards, to kind of tell us more and break down exactly what that export license means for Tobago. Good morning to you, Anselm.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, world, wherever you are. Well, the export license, what it really does for Tobago in terms of our psychological elevation is that it removes the door or the wall of denial that we have been experiencing for the last 4 years from Port of Spain and open up a door of possibilities for Tobago in the following areas. One, we have the ability now to expand the operations of the quarry to provide employment, to provide sustainable jobs, and to export both regionally and internationally, because our material at the quarry is one of the best in the hemisphere. Okay, it's about 90% plus granite in terms of its rigidity, its hardness, its toughness. It's also very low in sparkability, make it perfect for runways in the aviation industry.
Right.
So we have a very superior product on our hands, and we were denied the opportunity for years to export it. But more than that, what it does for us as Tobagonians, it tells us that, look, you know, I don't want to swing to the internal government discussion, but what this was saying to us is that, look, you have a product on this island, and you have to wait until Port of Spain gives you the permission to exploit, monetize, and export your product, to own foreign exchange, much needed foreign exchange that the country needs at this particular point in time. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of governance construct that has Tobago in this struggle for over 70 years for a greater constitutional authority to determine how we develop this space, this island, and how we uplift and elevate the economy and the country of Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore something has to be fundamentally wrong with the way we govern this Twin Island Republic. But more
Mr. Richards, let me just jump in here quickly, so we could break down, because I know people are very curious about it, very excited about it, and of course looking forward to what the return on this will be. But tell me first of all, who owns Studley Park? Is it owned by the THA?
It is owned by the THA, and it's a huge reserve of rocks, blue stone, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And we have our last estimate points to the fact that we have over 25 to 30 years of harvesting at the rate we have been harvesting over the last 10, 15 years. What we really need to do to exploit and upgrade and to really exploit the opportunities that come with this license is really a program to modernize and upgrade the facility so that we can really exploit in terms of increasing our production, the quality, the variation of the material that we produce. Currently, the quarry produces boulders, which is the biggest one that they use for seawall defense. We produce 19, we produce 9.5, and sand. That's the aggregate we produce. And crush run. Crush run is that stone that they lay on top of the surface before we get to the final refining of roadways and so forth for compacting. So those are the major products. This Studley Park quarry also has a bitumen plant. So we produce asphalt for paving of our road. Right. And a concrete batching plant. So we produce that because what we do, we created and we nested all those activities in the facility, because one feeds into one. So you have a circular economy that is happening right there.
Right in that one park.
In that one park.
Yeah. So tell me, before this export license was granted, who were the customers of Studley Park?
Well, basically, a significant. If you go down south of Trinidad, all those materials you seen doing seawall, those blue stones that you see that has been bought from Studley Park and doing the kind of retaining and seal defense system along the south coast of Trinidad came from Studley Park. We have been exporting. The domestic market has been the primary market for the product out of Studley Park over the years.
Right.
We have the NNG plants who developed or Studley Park material were used in the construction of the energy plant because of the type of industry trackability that I mentioned before.
Right.
So that was the first major exporting of material from Tobago was in the construction of the energy facilities in Trinidad. And then we have contractors who are doing these seawall defensive system in Trinidad, buying the rocks from Tobago, shipping them on barges to Trinidad, and so forth. But currently, the domestic market, the Tobago construction sector, is really our core market. However, in recent time, with the elevation and activation of significant economic development opportunity in Guyana and the construction piece that is happening in Guyana, we had significant approaches from companies in Guyana to buy the material from the Studley Park Quarry, and we were denied the opportunity through the denial of the export license to really capitalize into this market. One of the major foreign exchange earning opportunities that came was the construction of the A&R Robinson New Airport Terminal, where the China Railway Company bought the material from the Studley Park Quarry. And we ensured that they paid in U.S. currency, and that would have changed the whole cash flow system because, we have to import parts to repair and maintain the machine, and we needed foreign exchange.
Right.
So in that regard, we saw evidentially the ability of that industry in Tobago to own foreign exchange from that localized experience with China Railway.
So now, now that you've been granted the license, the export license, does that mean Guyana is back on the table?
Well, we are looking to rekindle those opportunities, definitely, and even further afield, wherever the opportunity presents itself. But what we are moving to do almost immediately is to do the kind of investment that is required at the quarry. Because let me tell you this, for the last 4 years, on the projection we had, we have been asking the central government for $60 million to bring in a new fleet of equipment, a new crushing plant, the trucks, excavators, and all the necessary equipment and supporting tools that is necessary to modernize the facility. And we have not been afforded the resources to do that. So if we were provided with that kind of resources over the last 2-3 years, this plant and this facility would have been poised to really shoot from the hip immediately with the granting of the export license.
Right.
But the former central government was not providing the resources. However, because of the allocation we enjoy this year from the central government, we can now do some reallocation and make the kind of investment in the equipment that is necessary to really uplift the production and the operation of the facility, to really exploit and optimize the benefits and the opportunity that comes with the granting of this export license. But what is
now, Mr. Richards, let me jump in here to ask, because I'm not very versed when it comes to quarries. But to me, we're talking about existing infrastructure or land that we're taking to be able to crush and make the rocks, to make the sand, as the case may be. But isn't this a finite resource?
Yes, so that's why I said earlier that our proven reserve of rocks in the area has about 25 to 30 years of harvesting.
Okay.
So it's not a short-run issue here for us at all. You understand? And what we want to do is to really increase and modernize the type of products we produce. Right now we are just doing the aggregate. We are looking at doing stone tiles and brake shoes, and we are looking to partner with an international company that do that kind of higher-end value-added products.
Right.
So that's the kind of vision we have for the facility. Currently, we are reviewing a business plan that takes all of that kind of deliberate intention on board. So there we are.
So
we have been
in
having
that regard, In that regard, Mr. Richards, if people were to say they're looking to see the return on this investment, the return on the gaining of this export license, give me an estimated time frame where we can say, all right, we can measure it now and we can see that this has benefited the island of Tobago. Because you mentioned needing to upgrade the machinery, which you got the allocation in the budget to be able to do now. You have the export license, so after you upgrade the machinery, you can ramp up production and you can export. When can we expect to see the benefits of that coming back to the people of Tobago?
Right. So what can happen now? We have to reset those orders that we had in Guyana. Right. We can see some benefit coming from that almost immediately because there's some production capacity at the facility.
Right.
But to really optimize the benefit that comes with the granting and the hand delivery of the and I must make this point, the license was not just granted, it was hand delivered by the Prime Minister to the Chief Secretary, and that's a fundamental point that we must keep in our mind. So what we can do, we can tap into those sources now, the Guyana sources, and start benefiting from the granting of the license. But in the medium to longer term, there's an urgent need for us to upgrade the production capacity by acquiring new plants and the supporting equipment that is necessary. There are trucks there that needs to be replaced and upgrade a new drilling machine to drill the rocks, to load the dynamites and all of that to blow the rocks up. So there's that process. So I am saying by the end of this fiscal, we should start seeing an uptick, or basically by the end of the year, because those items are long lead items to get here. You know, they have to be shipped, then they have to be commissioned, they have to be installed and commissioned, operationalized, and all of that.
Right. So we're talking the end of 2026, yeah?
Basically, to really start feeling the weight that comes with the granting of the license. I wouldn't tell anyone next week or next month or August.
Of course.
Because these things are long lead items that have to be imported. They have to be set up, they have to be commissioned, they have to be tested and all of that. And that's why I asked about it, Mr. Richards, because I know people are wondering. They say, all right, so this has happened. How soon can we expect to see the benefits of it? So thank you for giving us that timeline of approximately a year so that we can start to see some activity happening. Let me make this point because, and don't forget that we have to train the staff to use these new equipment.
Of course.
In a more efficient and proficient way.
Yeah.
So that will be the timeline I will assign to this thing, about a year. I think that's a good lead time for us to acquire the equipment, do the training, the commissioning, and so forth, and reorganize the entity itself. The Studley Park Enterprise Limited needs to be reorganized to really exploit this grand opportunity that has been presented to the people of Tobago. All right. Well, we're definitely going to keep checking in with you to see how it's going and how it's progressing. But I thank you very much for joining us this morning to share your thoughts. Thank you for having me. Not a problem at all. Ladies and gentlemen, Anselm Richards, the Chief Technical Advisor for the Tobago House of Assembly, joining us this morning to share on the impact of the Studley Park export license that was granted earlier this week and hand-delivered to the Chief Secretary by the Prime Minister. We take a quick break and we come back with your birthdays on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.